How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Schmoedown Central. I'm your host, Brad Thomas, breaking down the week that was in the movie trivia Schmoedown, and of course, this week was the grand finale, the thing to end it all, the Schmoedown Spectacular number 3. So that was very exciting. Got to watch all 6 matches, nearly 8 hours worth of footage, all coming at you here, breaking it down here on Schmoedown Central. What a way to kick things off, though. We have Finstick, of course, looking for his mask, and that was kind of the through line of the entire spectacular, which was a very funny, amusing joke, a running gag going throughout it. Very amusing stuff, but great matches. And just off the top, I want to say just thank you to everybody who worked on this thing. I'll probably say thank yous again at the end, but everyone from the Clatter Video staff, Kristian Harloff and company, all the competitors that showed up, everybody and everyone, thank you for putting this on. But let's get into what went down here at the spectacular, starting with the Commissioner Bowl. So starting things off was the Commissioner Bowl. Finstick coming in with the 2-4 record, while Fyffe coming in with the 1-1 record, ranked number 18. Thadd Williams making his singles debut here, and Kristian Harloff coming in the favorite here with the 8-4 record, 5 knockouts, looking to get the Commissionership back. A very close, highly competitive round number 1. No one really running away with this whole thing, but there was a couple key moments that happened in round number 1. Thadd Williams changing his answer after Tom's repeat on question number 6. Thadd probably shouldn't have done that one. Then, of course, a challenge on question number 7. Kristian, of course, challenging the genre of the movie, whether it was a horror movie or not, for the movie Sleepy Hollow. Of course, that was upheld, but a couple key moments there, and overall, a solid round by each competitor. Finstick in last place currently, going 4 for 8 in round number 1. Kristian Harloff going 5 for 8 in 3rd place currently, and tied for first so far was Fyffe and Thadd Williams, each going 6 for 8 in round number 1. Round number 2, Emma up first. She spins the category of musicals, and she did give up a 1-point steal on question number 1 to both Finstick and Thadd. Kristian unable to capitalize there, but did answer her 2 remaining questions correctly, going 2 for 3, getting a possible 4 out of 6 points to get the lead and go up by a score of 10-7 to 5-5. Emma was in control currently. Thadd Williams, he's up next, spins the category of comedies and sticks with that one. And spoiler alert here, the only person to go perfect in round number 2, going 3 for 3, getting a possible 4 to 6 points, using his multiple choice wisely to go up by a score of 11-10 to 5-5. Thadd Williams now in control of this match. Kristian up next, he spins the category of, unfortunately, opponent's choice, and they stick him with movie taglines and ends up only going 1 for 3, getting that first question correct for a possible 2 to 6 points, but giving up a 1-point steal on question number 2 to both Thadd and Emma, and then another 1-point steal on question number 3 just to Emma. And Emma now regaining some power in this match, and now she was tied with Thadd Williams by a score of 12-12 to 7-5. Finstick, last one up here, and again also spinning the category of opponent's choice, and he was stuck with the category of scores and soundtracks. A big strength of Kristian, so good on him to try to get the other opponents to go for that category. And Finstick missing that first question, and Kristian going to steal it, but changing his answer. He had it correct, but again changing it. Second time it's happened in this match to a competitor. But Finstick going 2 for 3, getting a possible 3 out of 6 points. There was, though, a challenge on question number 2. Thadd challenging that it should have been Huey Lewis in the news, but that was upheld as Huey Lewis was the frontman of the band. People knew what he was talking about. And again, Finstick not doing too bad in this one, but still in second to last, though above Kristian so far in this match by a score of 12-12 to 8-7. Round number 3 is where things got interesting. Kristian needed to come from behind here. Question number 1 for him, coming in the category of movie quotes. He gets that first question correct. Finstick now up next, getting the category of comic book movies, and unfortunately answering that question incorrect, saying David Ayers as opposed to David Ayer. Again, a 1-letter slip up here. Those are happening quite often now, or at least 1-word ones. Unfortunate for him there. Of course, he wanted to fight that, but was unable to do so. Question number 2 coming in the category of Angelina Jolie movies, and he did get that one correct to send it back to Kristian Harloff. For Kristian's second question, he got the category of Charlie Sheen movies, and he gets that question correct. Question number 3 for Finstick now. He's up. He gets the category of sports movies, and unfortunately getting that question incorrect, as Finstick is now the first to be eliminated, and everyone's tied up at 12 points apiece. Thadd up next, getting the category of musicals, and can't come away with that correct answer. Fyffe, her first question, coming in the category of crime movies, and also cannot get that correct. Had they swapped questions, it probably would have been a different story. And that continued in the second question here. Thadd Williams getting the category of Julia Roberts movies, and getting that incorrect, and Fyffe getting the category of new releases, getting that question also incorrect. Kristian, though, up next. It all came down to these 5-pointers, and the ball was back in Kristian's court, of course. And for his 5-pointer, he got the category of directors and was unable to come up with that correct answer. Thadd Williams, though, could go up by 5 here, getting the category of romantic comedies, and also could not get that question correct. Fyffe her 5-pointer to get the victory here with the category of Sly and Arnie. Of course, probably a category that Kristian wanted here, but Emma Fyffe unable to get that question correct, as now we headed to sudden death. Both Emma and Thadd unable to get any of their questions in round number 3. And in sudden death, the first question was asked and only one person was able to come out on top. Thadd and Kristian unable to get those correct, and Emma Fyffe getting that question correct and winning the match, winning the Commissioner Bowl, and we'll get to more of those details in just a moment. So with the victory, Emma improves to 2-1, while Thadd Williams falling to 0-1, Kristian now falling to 8-5, still with the 5 knockouts, and Finstick falling to 2-5. Emma Fyffe leading the way, going 9 for 15 for 60% for questions that each competitor was personally asked. These are not including the steals, just letting everyone know. Thadd Williams also tying that, also going 9 for 15. Kristian going 8 for 15 for 53%. And Finstick going 7 for 14 for 50%. Kristian, of course, the heavy favorite going into this one. Former champ, unable to play his A game. Things not going his way this match, but kudos to Emma Fyffe getting that victory, winning it in the sudden death frame. Big props to her, and again, I'll get to those details right now. So, of course, after the match, Thadd Williams deciding to shred that piece of evidence, but Paulie G coming out saying that's not the only piece of evidence, and the letter, the contract that we got here, and of course, he's been kind of pulling the strings a little bit, but actually there was a man behind that one. And that was indeed the one and only Kristian Harloff, of course, now announcing himself as the chairman of the Schmoedown. There will be multiple commissioners next season. Emma Fyffe, of course, will be one of them. So that's a new wrinkle in things. Again, Kristian Harloff been pulling the strings ever since way back a year ago. He's been kind of setting this all up, and now this plan's come to fruition. Of course, he was in charge of Mike. It was all Kristian Harloff from the get-go. I think I may have mentioned that I thought it might have been Kristian pulling Mike's strings. I don't know if I ever mentioned pulling Paulie G's strings, but I thought Kristian was involved in some way, and of course that was the case. I'll give myself a half point on that one. But great match altogether. Of course, Emma coming out on top. Thadd will still be in control of Kristian. He's kind of now runs him. Probably won't be commissioner anytime soon, but we'll see what happens there. And of course, Tom, unfortunately, coming in 4th place there. There was some other stuff with Tom coming later down the line. Of course, him still trying to find his mask, of course, but Finstick not the victor here. Emma Fyffe was the victor, and kudos to her. But let's get into the next matchup, and of course that was for the team titles. So our second match was the Shirewolves taking on Who's the Boss. Who's the Boss coming in with that 4-0 record, 1 knockout, the #1 contenders, and the Shirewolves coming to also in with a 4-0 record, 2 knockouts, looking to defend their titles. Round number 1, it was close for the entirety of this round. Who's the Boss, though, having to use 2 repeats early on, of course, within those first 3 questions, but still managing to eke out the lead by the end of the round. For the Shirewolves, both Clarke and Rachel each going 6 for 8. Solid round for them. Ben Bateman also going 6 for 8, but Mark Reilly leading the way, going 7 for 8 in round number 1 to get Who's the Boss the lead by a score of 13-12 at the end of round 1. An impressive way to start off the round by both teams. Of course, when you get 6 out of 8 questions correct, it's not a bad start to the game. Round number 2, the Shirewolves up first get the category of Sandra Bullock movies, and they run the table completely, not going to multiple choice once, going 6 for 6, getting a possible 12 out of 12 points. A stellar round for the Shirewolves, putting the pressure back on Who's the Boss, as now they led by a score of 24-13 midway through round 2. The pressure was on for Who's the Boss to rebound, but a very impressive round by the Shirewolves. Who's the Boss up next, and they spin the category of Festival Darlings actually twice, forced to stick with this one, and you might think it would have been one they didn't want, of course, going off the respin, but they go 6 for 6 as well, possible 12 out of 12 points, running the table yet again, back to back by both teams. I'm not sure, I'll have to ask Frank Janish about this one. Has there been a team that's ever done that? 2 back-to-back perfect rounds by both teams. It's very impressive. 6 for 6, 12 of 12 points. Mark Reilly and Ben Bateman playing their A game, as now they led by a score of 25-24 at the end of round 2. A very impressive game by both teams. Round number 3, the betting round, came into play here with the category of Pixar movies, of course, and Who's the Boss also using their last repeat here in round 3. The Shirewolves, they end up betting 2 points. Who's the Boss, they end up betting 3 points, and both getting that question incorrect, losing the 2 points, losing the 3 points, and now it was a 22-22 tie heading into the speed round. What more could you want? Round number 4, the speed round could change everything. A couple questions deciding not to answer, and Mark Reilly actually losing a point for Who's the Boss, but the story here with Rachel Cushing coming through clutch in the speed round, going 2 for 2 for the questions she decided to buzz in for and was able to buzz in for, giving the Shirewolves now a lead of 24-21 after the speed round. Very good on the Shirewolves to gain a little bit of a gap heading into the final round. Round number 5, Who's the Boss up first? Question number 1 coming in the category of romance movies. Mark Reilly decided to take this one. He gets that first question correct. Question number 2, Ben Bateman getting the category of animated movies, and also getting that question correct to send it back to the Shirewolves by a score of 26-24. Shirewolves needing to hit a couple more questions. Clarke up first with the category of 80s movies. She gets that first question correct. Rachel getting the category of classics and also getting that question correct now to lead by a score of 29-26. It was coming down to these 5-point questions. Who's the Boss? Their 5-pointer. Question number 3 coming in the category of action-adventure movies. Of course, a big strength of Ben Bateman, and they get that question correct to send it over to the Shirewolves to either win or lose the match. They get question number 3, the 5-pointer, coming in the category of Matthew McConaughey movies, and Rachel pulling this one out for the Shirewolves, getting that question correct as the Shirewolves win it by a score of 34-31. What a game we just witnessed. Big win for the Shirewolves, defending those belts, and they remain as the team champs of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. So with the victory, the Shirewolves now improve to 5-0, 2 knockouts, while Who's the Boss fall to 4-1, 1 knockout. The Shirewolves going 23 for 28 as a team for 82% for questions they were asked, while Who's the Boss going 22 for 27 for 81% for questions they were asked. So close in the percentages, both these teams playing their A game, just came down, of course, to that speed round and the betting round where I think a couple points got lost on the board for Who's the Boss, really changing things up, but a very impressive game by both teams. And on the individual side of things, Rachel Cushing leading that way, going 9 for 11 for 82%, while Clarke Wolfe going 6 for 8 for 75%. On Who's the Boss side of things, Mark Reilly going 8 for 10 for 80%, and Ben Bateman going 7 for 9 for 78%. All 4 competitors playing their A game, putting on quite a show, and this may have been my favorite match of the entire Schmoedown Spectacular. It was one I was really looking forward to, and it lived up to the hype. So of course, after the match, we got to see Finstick do something a little different there. Shake the hand of Emma Fyffe, his longtime rivals. Is him turning over a new leaf? Was it the mask kind of just not being with him, so his evil went away? What exactly was it? Is this a new type of Finstick? We'll have to see next season. But anyways, a weird moment nonetheless. And then of course, the real story here though, Ben Bateman, after the match, talking with Andrew Guy, saying how, congratulating him, saying, I might want to continue with Mark Reilly. We're pretty competent one another, but he was kind of dreading it. But Andrew Guy's like, no, it's all good. We'll create a faction. It'll be great. I got a partner myself. And then the unthinkable happens. Andrew Guy, again, tackling Ben Bateman through a table, which is pretty crazy. What's going on with the Action Army? Are they going to be able to mend this up? Probably doesn't seem that way, of course, with Andrew Guy, of course, tackling Ben Bateman. So that was crazy. It was intense. What's going to happen there? Of course, it seems like Who's the Boss will probably continue on if they're a great team, coming up so close against the Shirewolves. But kudos to the Shirewolves. They brought their A game. They ended up beating Who's the Boss, defending those titles, and they're no joke. They're no fluke. These guys are for real one of the best teams we've ever seen. I wish in a dream scenario we could see the Patriots take on the Shirewolves, because that would be epic. So for our third match, we have Alex Damon defending his belt against Ken Napzok. Ken coming in with the 1-2 record, but Alex Damon coming in with the 2-1 record with 2 knockouts. Round number 1, it was the story of who missed first, and that was Ken Napzok on question number 8, but keeping it tight for the beginning of that round leading up to that point, both going toe-to-toe. Of course, both missing also on question 9, so Alex unable to get that perfect round, but a very impressive game by both competitors. Alex going 9 for 10 in round 1, while Ken going 8 for 10 in round 1. Nothing to sneeze at by both competitors. Round number 2, Ken up first, spinning the category of the Phantom Menace, and Ken doing not too bad for himself, going 4 for 5 in that round, getting a possible 7 out of 10 points. Impressive by Ken Napzok in this round, but he did give up a 2-point steal on question number 3, a big 2-point steal by Alex Damon there. Still able to pick up a couple more points following that steal, but Ken Napzok, he led by a score of 15-11 midway through round number 2, trying to keep that lead from Alex Damon before it slips away. Alex up next, spinning the category of the Force Awakens, and he went 4 for 5, getting a possible 8 out of 10 points. A very impressive round by Alex Damon for the entirety of it, up of course until that 5th question, but doing his stuff, but giving up also a 2-point steal on question number 5. Ken Napzok really needed that one to stay within a 2-point margin of Alex, as Alex was going through that category pretty well, and he now led by a score of 19-17 at the end of round number 2. Round number 3, of course, was the betting round, coming in the category of Rogue One. Alex betting 3 points, Ken betting 3 points, Alex gaining those 3 points, and Ken losing those 3 points. A giant 6-point swing for Alex Damon. Was that the nail in the coffin for Ken Napzok? He had to battle back in the speed round, as Alex now led by a score of 22-14. And in that round number 4, Ken's experience, of course, using those buzzers came into play here. Ken went 1 for 1, but Alex going 2 for 4. He ends up losing 2 points, ends up gaining 2 points, basically staying even that round, while Ken was able to get at least a point on Alex Damon. Not too bad of a strategy, of course, when you have that big lead, but Alex still led by a score of 22-15 at the end of the speed round. Round number 5, Ken up first. He got the category of The Last Jedi. He got that first question correct. Question number 2 coming in the category of droids, and also getting that question correct. Question number 3, A New Hope. Ken Napzok needed to hit this one to send it back over to Alex Damon, and he does exactly that, getting that question correct to now go up by a score of 25-22. Alex Damon needed to get a couple of his questions correct to win this one. Question number 1 coming in the category of vehicles and weapons, and he gets that first question correct. Now is on to the three-pointer, could win it here with the category of Revenge of the Sith, and not waiting for the question to be completed as Alex Damon ends up answering this one correct and wins it by a score of 27-25, retaining the title, and now beating Ken Napzok, but of course he still wants his hands at Sam Witwer. So with that victory, Alex Damon improves to 3-1 with 2 knockouts. Ken Napzok falling to 1-3. Alex Damon going 18 for 22 for 82% for questions he was asked, while Ken Napzok going 16 for 20 for 80%. A very close match, but again, the big swing in that betting round. I think that really was the make or break moment for Ken Napzok. Unfortunate 6-point swing there, going Alex's way, but of course Ken Napzok still one of the best Star Wars competitors we've ever seen. So unfortunate there for Ken Napzok, but big props to Alex Damon, proving that he's a great champion, and of course still wanting to go at Sam Witwer. We'll see if that match ever does come around. Of course, Star Wars Celebration, he threw it on a challenge, so we'll have to wait and see. Ken Napzok, of course, it's never over for him. Of course, he always wants that Star Wars belt. 0-1 for corruption so far in the Spectacular, but of course Kalinowski had a shot coming up in a little bit here to get a title. But just, again, great Star Wars match. Both competitors only separated by 2% for questions they were asked. And again, that big 6-point swing really coming back and coming into play for Ken Napzok, and unfortunately contributing to that loss. But again, bravo to Alex Damon defending that belt. And again, we'll have to wait and see who his next challenger is, if it is Sam Witwer or if it's some other competitor that we haven't seen just yet. But let's get into the next match. For the 4th match, we had Clarke Wolfe taking on Dan Murrell in a number 1 contender match. Dan Murrell coming in with the 9-4 record, 6 knockouts, ranked number 3. Clarke Wolfe coming in with the 8-6 record, ranked number 2, of course, and her second match of the Spectacular. Round number 1, each competitor again playing toe-to-toe. It seemed to be the whole story of the Spectacular, staying close up until question number 7, where Dan was the first to miss. Clarke got that question correct, as Clarke was able to get the lead there and keep that lead for the entirety of the round. Clarke Wolfe going 7 for 8 in round number 1, while Dan Murrell going 6 for 8 in round number 1. It was close early on, no one out of it by any stretch here, as Clarke held the early lead. Round number 2, Clarke up first, getting the category of coming of age movies and doing okay for herself in this round, getting a possible 2 out of 4 questions correct. A big 2-point steal happening on question number 2. She thought it was Mother, not Stepmother, and of course Dan capitalizing on that and getting that big 2 points. She ends up going and getting a possible 3 out of 8 points in that round. Okay for Clarke Wolfe, as now she led by only 2 points by a score of 10-8. Dan up next, he got the category of fantasy sci-fi movies and doing almost the opposite of Clarke Wolfe, pretty much dominating this entire round, going 4 for 4, getting a possible 7 out of 8 points, looking like the Dan Murrell of old, and now led by a score of 15-10 after round number 2. A very impressive round by Dan Murrell, deciding to stick with the fantasy sci-fi, not test his fate with the wheel. A very smart move by Dan Murrell in that round as he led after round 2. Round number 3, the final round, Clarke needing to get a couple questions correct to send it over to Dan Murrell. Question number 1 coming in the category of 80s movies. She gets that first question correct. Question number 2 coming in the category of coming of age movies. Unable to get that question correct and needing now to hit her 5-pointer coming in the category of Leonardo DiCaprio movies, and was unable to get that question correct as Dan Murrell wins it by a score of 15-12 via TKO. Another knockout for Dan Murrell to go on that record. That makes it 7. So with the victory, Dan improves to 10-4 with now 7 knockouts, as I previously mentioned. Clarke Wolfe falling to 8-7. Dan Murrell going 10 for 12 for 83%, a very good game by Dan Murrell, and Clarke going 10 for 15 for 67%. Not a bad day for Clarke Wolfe overall, of course, defending those team titles, that really took a lot out of her. She was tired a little bit going into this match, but a close match nonetheless. Dan Murrell just getting that victory, and now, of course, will go on to play in New York. So a big win there for Dan Murrell. Will play in New York. We'll play the winner of course, John Rocha versus Ethan Erwin. We'll have to see what went down in that matchup, of course, to see his competitor. But a big win also just for Clarke Wolfe on the day. I mean, she covers defending those belts, coming into this one, doing 2 matches. I think every competitor who's played in 2 matches at Spectacular has gone 1-1, so it's a tough thing to do to win both those matches. Of course, Clarke wanted it, but unable to do so. Of course, we'll have not seen the last of Clarke Wolfe, of course, but we may have seen the last of Tom's mask again, because he's still looking for it. He's asking everybody. He's showing up in every cutscene, basically. Where is this mask? Of course, that was a big mystery of the day. Of course, we'll find out maybe a little bit later. But again, big win for Dan Murrell. We'll play in New York. Exciting stuff for him. Maybe he can play as Horseman. Maybe he'll get the rematch against Ethan Erwin. We'll have to wait and see, but let's get into the next match. So next up, of course, we had Knopic taking on Mike Kalinowski for the Innergeekdom title. Mike coming in with the 3-3 record, 2 knockouts, ranked number 2, while Mara coming in with the 5-0 record, undefeated in 2 knockouts. In round number 1, Mike was kind of slow early on, missing a couple questions early and Mara gaining that lead, but of course, it kind of went back and forth in this round, ends up going tied at some point, and then of course, Mara ends up getting the lead by the end of the round, as Mara went 7 for 10 in round number 1, Mike going 6 for 10, battling back, staying in it to get within 1 point, only down by 1. It was not out by any stretch of the imagination. Round number 2, Mike up first, getting the category of Middle Earth, not a giant strength of Mike Kalinowski here, but doing okay for himself, getting a possible 4 out of 5 questions correct for a possible 7 out of 10 possible points. Did give up a 2-point steal though on question number 4, nothing you really want to do, of course, big 2 points. They're crucial, they can make or break you in this league, but Mike was able to get the lead by a score of 13-9 midway through round number 2. Could he keep it though? Mara up next, and she got the category of Who Said It, tough for basically everyone, and she went 3 for 5 in the round, get a possible 5 out of 10 points. She did give up a 1-point steal on question number 3, not a 2-pointer at least, to keep it close, and of course ending the round tied at 14-14. What more could you want in a title matchup, tied going into round number 3? And in round number 3, it was the betting round. Category was DC movies, Mara betting 1 point, Mike betting 2 points, of course the strength of his, and Mara gaining 1 point, Mike gaining those 2 points now to go up by a point by a score of 16-15. Mike had the lead, but only of course by a slim margin. Next up, the speed round. Mara and Mike both doing well in the speed round. Mara going 3 for 3 for questions she decides to answer, Mike going 2 for 2 for questions he decides to answer, and of course it was yet again tied at 18-18 heading into round number 5. Again, what more could you want in a title match? Round number 5, Mike Kalinowski, question number 1, coming in the category of scores and soundtrack, and he gets that first question correct to go by 2 points. Mara, of course, question number 1, coming in the category of Marvel movies, and she gets that question also correct to tie it back up. Mike Kalinowski getting a strength of his in the category of DCEU. He gets that question correct, now going up by 3. Mara, of course, getting a strength of hers in Indiana Jones, and getting that question correct again down to tie it back up at 23-23. Mike getting the category now of Who Said It. Unfortunately, unable to get that question correct. Mara, though, could win it here with the category of Star Wars movies, but was unable to do so, getting that incorrect as it was still now tied at 23-23 heading into sudden death. The first question, Mara and Mike both get that question correct. Question number 2 in the sudden death round. Both competitors also getting that question correct. The third question was where things changed it up with a Star Wars question. Mara unable to get that question correct. Mike, he got that question correct as he wins it by a score of 26-25. Big win for Kalinowski, and now he is the new Innergeekdom champion. So with the victory, Mike improving to 4-3 with 2 knockouts. Mara now falling to 5-1 with 2 knockouts. Unfortunate getting that 1 loss on there, but still one of the best rookies we've ever seen here with that 5-0 run. Mike Kalinowski, he went 18 for 24 for 75%. Mara going 18 for 25 for 72% for questions they were both personally asked. Very close in those percentages, could have gone any way, coming down to sudden death. What more could you want on a Schmoedown? But Mike Kalinowski coming out on top is the new Innergeekdom champion. So there you have it, Mike Kalinowski winning it and is the new Innergeekdom champion. A great match by both competitors, each making it a sudden death frame. Kept it close, and what more could you ask for in a title match? Tied up multiple times throughout that matchup, and just unfortunate though for, of course, Mara, losing this one, her undefeated streak coming to an end. She had such a great run, but I know she was a little upset, obviously, but Mara did a great job this entire league, this entire season, this entire game here. So kudos for her. Hopefully she will be back next season. I know she looked a little upset after the matches, but and again, she is one of my favorite competitors. Just her her sense of humor is fantastic, and it always cracks me up whenever she's on the screen. So again, hopefully we'll see more of her, of course, next season. But Kalinowski, the big story here, getting that victory. Corruption has a title now, so what does that mean? What does that set up for Kalinowski and his kind of antics and what he's going to try to do, maybe going up against Kristian Harloff now, of course, now that he was kind of pulling his strings, so we'll have to see exactly how that rivalry kind of develops as we go forward here. And of course, I'll probably there may have been a cutscene here probably where kind of Tom, of course, looking for his mask, because that's what Tom does. And again, we'll get to that in just a moment. But of course, we had one more match to get to, and it was the big one. Big time Ethan Erwin, the Outlaw John Rocha. Let's break it down. So the last match for the title, John Rocha versus Ethan Erwin. Ethan coming in with the 6-1 record, 2 knockouts, while Rocha coming in with the 11-6 record and 3 knockouts. Round number 1 started things off, and of course went how we all had hoped it would go. Each competitor, both John and Ethan, going toe-to-toe, getting question after question correct, one after another, not missing at all. Of course, they both did miss on question number 6, but didn't take away anything from their matchup here. Both competitors knowing the exact same stuff, knowing the exact same stuff, and going toe-to-toe to each go 7 for 8 in round number 1. What more could you ask for? Title match on the line here, and it was everything we could hope for. Round number 2, Ethan up first, getting the category of Denzel Washington movies, and doing some damage in this round. Going 4 for 4 in the round, getting a possible 7 out of 8 points. Ethan Erwin on fire in round number 2, now went up by a score of 14-7. Midway through round number 2, John Rocha had to make up some ground. And John was up, and he spun a strength of his in the category of sports movies, but not doing as well as what he might have hoped for. Getting that first question correct, but also giving up another 1-point steal on question number 2. Not something you really want to do, of course, in a title match, as John Rocha went 2 for 4 in the round, getting a possible 4 out of 8 points. Trailed by a couple here at the end of round 2 by now a score of 15-11. John Rocha, though, it's a 5-round match, and he can, of course, battle back. Round number 3 coming in the category of disaster movies, and that was for the betting round. And John betting 2 points, Ethan betting 3 points here. John, of course, gaining 2 points, and Ethan also gaining 3 points, as Ethan now led by a score of 18-13, widening that gap by 1 point, but we had the speed round still to come. And for that speed round, round number 4, both competitor doing great in the speed round, going 2 for 2 for questions they decided to ask, but not wanting to answer one of those questions. And a hilarious moment, one of my favorite moments I think of the entire spectacular, was Sam Levine coming out there not knowing, of course, his character's name in Inglourious Basterds. A very hilarious moment, maybe crack up quite a bit, but both competitors doing well in that speed round, going pretty even, as Ethan now led by a score of 20-15. Round number 5, John Rocha needing to get a couple of these questions correct to send it back over to Ethan. Question number 1 coming in the category of fantasy sci-fi movies. He gets that first question correct. Question number 2 coming in the category of 90s movies. Unfortunately for John Rocha, unable to get that question correct, so it came down to his 5-pointer. Needed to get this one to stay alive and send it back to Ethan Erwin. Came in the category of biopics, a big strength of John Rocha's. But unfortunate for him, it was something he didn't quite know, as he got that incorrect, and Ethan Erwin winning the game by a score of 20-17 via TKO. A new movie Trivia Schmoedown champion was crowned here, and that, of course, was big-time Ethan Erwin. So with the victory, Ethan now improving to 7-1 with 3 knockouts now. John Rocha now falling to 11-7 with 3 knockouts. Ethan going 14 for 15 for 93%, only missing on 1 question. Very impressive by Ethan on the day here. John Rocha going 13 for 18 for 72% for questions he was asked. Not a bad game for John Rocha here, but Ethan Erwin playing his A game, bringing it for this championship fight here, and Ethan Erwin, the new Schmoedown champion. So there you have it. Ethan will now play Dan Murrell in New York. The New York lineup is set. Dan Murrell taking on Ethan Erwin for the title, and of course you have Chance Ellison taking on Gene the Machine as well. That's exciting stuff, and of course, you're also learning a couple other things post-game. Matt Knows deciding to hang it up, retire, but no hard feelings. It wasn't the kind of a heated moment. It's just like, hey, I'm not as invested as most of these other competitors are, so he's going to hang it up. Still an avid listener of the Top 10 show, listen every week, so also good to hear John Rocha and Matt Knows banter back and forth, which is always great. But it seems like the Founding Fathers will be moving on, of course, now for the Horsemen, and they'll have to recruit somebody else, so that'll be interesting as well. And then, of course, you had the very post-credit scene, I guess if you would call it that. Who took the mask? Who exactly was it? And it was the return of Robert Meyer Burnett. So that was epic. I love seeing that. That was a great way to cap it off. I didn't know who it was going to be, and I'm glad to see Robert Meyer Burnett back in action in the Schmoedown. Hopefully he's a returning face for next year, because that'll be very exciting, and I just hope he had such flavor to the Schmoedown, so I'm excited to see what he can do come next season storyline-wise and just in the ring as well. And then, of course, there was that big Patreon kind of announcement. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's get into what I would normally say is happening next week. But, of course, we don't really have much happening next week, but, of course, there's that live event coming up. I'm not going to really have that segment, though, just letting you guys know, but the live event, I think, is the next thing happening, so that's exciting. Who's going to win that? I mean, Ethan Erwin is a beast. Dan Murrell wants kind of out for revenge, though, so we'll have to see what happens there. And then, of course, Janine taking on Chance. Janine's been on a hot streak, but she has lost a couple as of late. Chance, of course, the newest kind of fan member, if you want to call him that. I think you got to bet on Chance, but at the same time, that live event environment, maybe it benefits Janine more. Who exactly knows? It will be an exciting one nonetheless, but let's get into our play, misplay, and player of the week. So for our play of the week, there was a lot of OT matches, but I think one of the ones that ended in regulation had the best ending, and that was the Shirewolves taking on Who's the Boss, the 5-pointer. They needed it. Coming in the category of Matthew McConaughey movies, it looked like the Shirewolves didn't have the answer, and then Rachel Cushing says it into the mic, defending the titles and getting that victory. A big, big win for the Shirewolves, a big play and a big moment to cap off that match. Very impressive victory by the Shirewolves. Before our misplay of the week, that's going to be from the Commissioner Bowl, the David Ayer moment for Tom Dagnino, Finstock himself, saying David Ayers as opposed to David Ayer. The 2 points, you want to know how crucial that was? That is the make or break moment. He had 11 points after answering that Angelina Jolie question correct. Had he get that question correct, he would have had 13, which of course would have made it so there was no sudden death, tied at 12, and we would have a Commissioner Finstock. That's how kind of pivotal that David Ayers misstep was. Unfortunate for Finstock, maybe fortunate for the league, it remains to be seen, but a big mistake on Finstock's part. But our player of the week has to be the champ himself, Ethan Erwin. Big time Ethan Erwin, improving to 7-1, 3 knockouts, going 14 for 15 for 93%. Will play at the live event in New York. A very impressive victory, the best percentage of the day, and of course defeating one of the best we've ever seen in John Rocha. Big victory for him there, TKOing him nonetheless. Big victory for Ethan Erwin, that's why he's our player of the week. So that does it for the last episode of the year for Schmoedown Central. Thank you all for watching over the year. It's been great just growing the channel from 0 subscribers to I think what I'm at now is around the 125 range, so that's awesome. Keep watching, we'll see what I'm able to do next season. If someone from Collider Video is watching, thank you for putting this on, for one, all the staff, the crew. I've kind of thanked you at the beginning, but again, just thank you again, Kristian Harloff and everybody. I'm excited for the next season, everything they're going to do with Patreon. I know it's a controversial type thing, but I think it's something that kind of agreeing with Kristian what the Schmoedown kind of needs to do. I'll be there every step of the way. I'm curious what I'll be able to cover next season, I will say that much, because of course the singles matches will be available on YouTube, so I'll probably be covering those for sure. The team, Innergeekdom stuff, of course, that's behind the Patreon wall there, so I'm not sure exactly. I might be able to talk about them, probably not maybe show them. I'll have to wait and see. I'll probably get some clarification from Kristian, from the people running the Schmoedown. I'll try and get some answers about what I'm able to kind of talk about, showcase for you guys. But I will be back next season. Should be doing the same type of stuff. If you have any suggestions on maybe ways to improve it, I'm always open. But I'm very excited for what's to come here in 2019. More storyline stuff, more live events, more live streams, which is awesome. So thank you everyone. Thank you all for watching, commenting, liking. Let me know all your thoughts on this Schmoedown Spectacular, on this show in general, what you think of it, what you like, what you don't like. If you don't like any of it, let me know. But of course, be constructive about it, and I welcome all new viewers. Share this around. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure doing this thing for this past year. Started at the beginning of it just as a random idea. I'm like, I got bored of doing movie reviews on my own channel, which I previously used to do. Kind of stopped growing it, didn't really enjoy it as much. So I decided, you know what, this is a little bit more creative, let's do this thing up, and I've been thrilled with the response of it, and maybe, who knows, I'm hoping for at least a nomination, maybe at the Schmoedown Awards for Best After Show, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe I should start like a hashtag or something, I don't know, we'll see, but regardless, if I do or don't, it's been a pleasure making this for everyone watching it, and thank you all for watching. I'll be back next year, and like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll talk to y'all next time on Schmoedown Central.